Today I'll be doing a voiceover instead of just a no comment walk that I recorded in the first place. I won't be adding continuous talking though, but I will highlight certain aspects and interesting points in this 50-minute walk in the small city of Pontianak in the province of West Kalimantan in Indonesia. The city of Pontianak is located some 700 kilometers northeast from the Indonesian capital Jakarta, but just 200 kilometers from the city of Kuching in Sarawak, Malaysia. Pre-pandemic, a direct flight between these cities was fairly regularly operated, but with ever-changing airlines. I'm taking you on a 4-kilometer walk through what roughly is the old city center, inclusive of the harbour area and the current Chinatown area. We are currently walking on Diponegoro Street. The opposite direction is Agus Salim Street, both well-known street names in most Indonesian cities. Both are national heroes, but how they got there is completely different. Prince Diponegoro was a fierce anti-Dutch son of a sultan from Yogyakarta. He played an important role in the Java War from 1825 to 1830. He was defeated, then exiled to Makassar, and eventually died there from natural causes. Mr. Agus Salim is a modern national hero. He originated from Kota Gadang in West Sumatra and was Indonesia's Minister of Foreign Affairs between 1947 and 1949. This period, after the Second World War, was the time where the Dutch thought they could simply reoccupy the Indonesian archipelago after the Japanese surrendered in August 1945. In Indonesia, this period is known as the National Revolution. In Indonesia, this period is known as the National Revolution, while in Dutch it was tamely named police actions. But they were no police actions. They were full-scale military interventions. Very interesting history from just 2 street names, but we'll continue our trip towards the northeast until we turn left at the major intersection. Meanwhile, keep an eye at the traffic here and how much quieter it is compared to earlier videos from cities at Indonesia's main island, population-wise, of Java. We have just turned left on Tanjung Street. Street names in this neighborhood originate from cities and towns across the region. Most of them are upstream of the Kapuas River, which is just a short distance away from here, as we will see shortly. First, we are going to cross this main road using the pedestrian bridge. Don't mind the trash. Unfortunately, pollution like this is a real problem in Indonesia. We are entering the city's central market now. It's obvious from these few minutes only that a white foreigner here still gets quite some attention. Or maybe it's because of the pandemic that there are no foreign tourists here anymore. Anyway, the population here is really friendly and mostly curious, outside the young one that tries to trick you into doing something for fun. In front of us now is the big Kapuas shopping center. It doesn't really look anything like a shopping center if you ask me, but hey, who am I to judge? Let's take another left turn here onto Sultan Muhammad Street. This name is far too common to figure out which one the street is named after, so I'll skip that part. Muhammad and derivatives thereof are amongst the most common names in the world, and also in Indonesia. This is the economic heart of the old city, where the focus is and was on domestic trade with ships coming into the harbour of Pontianak. which is basically just behind the buildings on the right side of the street here. We can see the river if we turn right here and take a gamble that we can actually walk alongside for a bit. Yes, we can walk here indeed. This concrete walkway seems pretty new and is still under construction, but is open for us to use as far as I can see. So let's walk along it for a bit. The houses on the left side used to be on the river's edge, but that has changed now. I don't know what the future function of this walkway will be, but imagine it would be a park-like environment with trees and places to sit where food hawkers can sell their meals. On this loading dock slash staging area slash parking area, a number of workers is trying to get all the goods you see near the bus onto the bus. This bus is scheduled to depart for a much more remote location inland and is bringing badly needed supplies to the community there. Buses like these are a lifeline to many communities without airports or a proper road connection, as they are not as heavy as big trucks and can also bring passengers in relative comfort. The workers here still have quite some stuff to load, but the roof is almost loaded up for the trip. If this bus is indeed headed for Badao, as per the stickers on its front window, they will end up in a small village at the border with Malaysia's Sarawak region, in the Kalimantan heartland. Back on the main road again to continue our trip. This is Rahadi Usman Street. Rahadi Usman is a national hero as well and was an Indonesian freedom fighter from Pontianak. Together with two Javanese fellows, he brought the news that Indonesia was independent to the town of Ketapang, south of here. In the ongoing battle between Indonesian freedom fighters and occupying forces under the command of the Dutch, Usman died during an ambush on December 7, 1945. We are now walking along the city square, or in this case more a city garden. It's fenced off, but you're able to enter free of charge or if on foot. Vehicles will have to pay for parking though. Across the street are government buildings. We are now just casually walking into the Pontianak harbour here. Normally these places are fairly restricted in Indonesia, with certain areas totally off limits for people with a camera. Not here though. The gate itself isn't even guarded. This port of Pontianak is the location where large ships can enter and more, but from here only smaller boats are able to travel further upstream on the Kapuas river to supply communities there. Because of that, there is always a flurry of activity around here. The city's post office, which dates back to the Dutch colonial time, is still in use by the Indonesian postal services. It's mainly for storage purposes, as the sign reads. It would also be strange not to see any customers during regular office hours. This street is full of government buildings. Normally security would be around, keeping a watch, but in Pontianak everything just seems safe and fine. We are making our way back towards a more commercial district of the city with a lot of little shops and the odd little mall. We are now walking on Gajahmada Street. You probably guessed it by now. He is also a national hero. Thomas Matulesi, his real name, fought against the Dutch together with the British Army, who had just taken control of the Molucco Islands. He was eventually betrayed and captured by the Dutch on November 11, 1817, and before the end of the year, the Dutch had already executed him. Gajahmada is also a hero in the eyes of the Republik Maluku Selatan, the South Maluku Republic, that claimed independence from the unitary state of Indonesia in the turmoil after the Second World War. Until this day, Republik Maluku Selatan is unrecognized and its government is in exile in the Netherlands since 1966. Former President Suharto made Gajahmada a national hero in 1973, probably to do some divide and conquer. So remaining factions of the Republik Maluku Selatan could not claim Gajahmada for themselves.
Tidak suara.
We are currently still walking on Gajahmada Street and are now in the neighborhood of the St. Joseph Cathedral of Pontianak, which might very well be the biggest church of the entire city. We are back at roughly the point where we started the video over half an hour ago, when we started slightly to the left of here. Now we are going to cross this intersection first before we continue walking on Gajahmada Street. And I probably don't have to mention what that name is. Outside from Gajahmada obviously being a well-known name, he is not a national hero. Gajahmada was the Mahapati, roughly the equivalent to a prime minister, of the Majapahit Empire from roughly 1329 to 1364. The empire started in eastern Java and grew rapidly through conquests and eventually reached its largest size in the late 14th century, when it included most of current-day Indonesia, the Malay Peninsula, nowadays Singapore, and the coastal areas of Kalimantan that are currently Malaysian or Brunei. This stretch of roadside has been renovated some time ago and is now a proper pavement where little restaurants can sell meals and seat their customers as well. Probably not the best idea to sit here in the burning afternoon sun, but I'm sure it's a nice place to walk around, look for the food you want and just sit outside. As we are walking to the Chinatown area of Pontianak, we'll see quite some features showing this. This walk was recorded just 2 days before Chinese New Year, so it was probably extra festive. The red paper lanterns, probably made from plastic or fabric though, are a staple around the celebration of Chinese New Year. Basically, everything red is, to be honest. After you have finished this video, you can also visit the one that's in the upper right of your screen right now. I recorded that one a few weeks ago back in Jakarta. If it doesn't show on the screen, it's the first video in the section related videos in the description down below. As we are approaching the end of this walk, we are walking along some street-side stalls and shops selling typical gifts for Chinese New Year. For example, shiny and good-looking oranges. These are nicely boxed as well and do have a pretty steep price for the number of oranges you're actually buying. Isinya apa ya?
Hah?
Ada yang ayam?
Ada?
Jadi berapa?
10.
10. That's about it for this walk. Thank you for joining me this time, and I hope to see you again in a future video from another city.